Now, for our third session this morning, we are delighted to be joined by Diana Nguyen, security professional at Volkswagen AG, and Jan Poppelbaum, supply chain expert at Volkswagen Group Logistics. They're going to give us an insight and a unique insight into the decentralization of cargo and supply chain security reporting and investigations from concept to implementation. This comes from a global business managing a supply chain network, delivering components used in the production of 9 million cars per annum, and comprising over 8,500 suppliers, and hundreds of transportation partners, delivering time-critical cargoes to 120 production plants and many more secondary destinations. That sounds like a daunting challenge. So to hear how Volkswagen are getting on, please welcome Diana and Jan to the stage. Good morning to you both.
Well, hello everyone. I hope you are enjoying all the conference, and first of all, thank you for the TAPA team for inviting us and organizing this wonderful conference. Let's just start with our presentation. In order to give you an idea of the size of the Volkswagen Group, here are some key figures. The success of the Volkswagen Group with its 120 production sites, including components and vehicle plants worldwide, is the success of its over 670,000 employees worldwide. In the year 2021, the COVID-19 pandemic and the shortage of semiconductors rapidly led to production stoppage and supply bottlenecks throughout the entire automotive industry. Still, sales revenue increased by 12.3% to 250.2 billion euros, and we were able to double our operating profit before special item to 20 billion euros. Compared to the previous year. This is to a strong demand for our vehicles, both in the conventional combustion engine and increasingly electric vehicles. Globally, 8.3 million vehicles were produced in 2021, which is approximately 32,355 vehicles produced per working day. The Volkswagen Group includes 9 brands plus Ducati, so the range extends from motorcycles to small cars and luxury vehicles and commercial vehicles. Our brands are divided into 3 groups. The volume group, which comprises Cupra, Seat, Skoda, Volkswagen passenger cars, and Volkswagen commercial vehicles. The premium group with Audi, Bentley, Ducati, and Lamborghini, and Porsche manages the sports group. The Traton Group forms the commercial vehicle business area, which of the Volkswagen Group, which comprises of MAN Truck and Bus, Scania, Volkswagen Truck and Bus, and Navistar. In addition, the Volkswagen Group also offers a wide range of further brands and business units, including, for example, CARIAD as an independent automotive software company, and also we have Volkswagen Financial Services, which comprises dealers, customers financing, leasing, banking and insurance activities. All in all, Volkswagen today is a globally leading OEM, a technology leader in many established areas, and brand section across segments. Like with many definitions, it's hard to settle on a universal, accepted interpretation of a term. We similarly had to face our own interpretation or definition of the term cargo crime. So for us, Volkswagen, cargo crime refers to incidents that concerns the loss of production materials, including spare parts, which are transported to our sites on behalf of the Volkswagen Group. Why spare parts, you may ask? Well, the reason is the criminals, they don't build their own cars, but rather they aim to sell it on the spare part market. Oh, sorry. Therefore, we pay special attention to so-called high-value parts that are at greatest risk from criminal attacks due to the demand on the spare part market. This is, for instance, engines, control units, or steering wheels, to name a few of them. Therefore, our focus are inbound logistic processes, which includes the movement of production materials and assembled parts from our suppliers, our components plants, or logistics centers, which are run by our logistic partners, to our vehicle plants. One of the greatest challenges for logistics within the group is mastering the complexity of the logistics networks due to our products' high individuality. In order to give you an idea of this complexity in numbers, every day material is being supplied for approximately 43,000 vehicles per day, and approximately for 88,000 engine and gearboxes per day, resulting in a total of 200 million parts delivered to our production plants every day. And probably you're unaware of our wide range of car models, which currently amounts to 365 models. Now we hope that you got a feeling of what we are dealing with in a group that is this big and complex. But we are probably still wondering, okay, why are these two people standing here and what are they doing with cargo crime at Volkswagen? Well, before Jan is going to talk about our cargo crime history, it may be of interest to get to know how we are structured. So the team consists of employees from the forensic department of the Volkswagen Group Security Division, today represented by me, and from the material logistics division of the Group Logistics, today represented by Jan. Currently, we are 7 employees from the group security, which includes the head of department, 5 operational employees, and in green, you can see our colleagues who is currently the head of security at Volkswagen Group Logistics. And to complete the team, we have 3 employees from Volkswagen Group Logistics, including the head of department and 2 operational employees. Since group security is more in the lead of cargo crime topics, it is considerably more strongly represented. Speaking about topics, our scope of topics vary from conducting investigation, implementing, defining and implementing preventive measures, defining processes and standards, analysis of our incidents and reporting, and as a group function, governance activity to our brands and local entities, which includes training, communication, and awareness measures. Besides solving cases, our fundamental success factors since establishing this cargo crime task force is, on the one hand, having this combined competencies between security and the logistics point of view. And on the other hand, is to having a continual rollout across the group to help bring awareness to this topic and to build a strong network. Now I would like to hand over to Jan.
Yeah, thanks. Let me also welcome you to the conference, which I haven't seen in person so far, at least, and continue with the story like the last time we were presenting here, it was in Warsaw, and we advanced the strategy a little bit since then. Okay. We have something like a tendency towards governance functions because as Diana said, we have something like nearly 700,000 people on board. We are only a few months here. And so we decided that after leaving the project phase, which were more or less the time of the Warsaw presentation, we were still in the project there. We had then to transfer into the organization. but yeah, as much as it's a good thing to be in the organization, we were still too few. And so in 2019, we decided to implement a decentralized cargo crime network. That means practically, I know the metaphor is not so good at the moment, but it means going viral. It means to put the cargo crime DNA, the experience, into the decentralized organizations that we have in the company. I will go a little bit more in depth in the next sheets, but basically this was the thing which kept us running during the Corona pandemic, because we had this network in place. We had the people in the different sites, in the different areas, which were able to carry the cargo crime operation further, with us more or less being locked down. The traveling restrictions were very massive during this time, and so we were limited in doing the practical work. And now in 2022, we are more or less restarting the targeted prevention activities in the field again, because we were able to travel again, but we had to face major fluctuations during the time. I'm the last of the old guys of cargo crime, and the new team was never able to travel, was never able to do a practical audit, and so this is the part of the operation we have to learn anew now. To implement this network, we originally had a decision by Brand and Group Logistics Management, and this is how we wanted to do it. It is something which is based on the benchmark or on the best practice by Audi. Audi started to link together the brand logistics and the brand security on an operational level, and also did this with the plants. And we decided after some discussions that we want this kind of operation. We want it vertically, we want it horizontally, we want to have an at least competent person at every level, and those are the guys who are more or less part of this network. They are cargo crime qualified, they are in this brand, in this plant, or on the group level. They are the first context if we have cargo crime incidents, for example, reports from the operational security. We have a distribution of information via this network, and we have them as a direct contact if we have some acute incidents. For example, if in an area like, for example, Poland, we have something like a police report, reporting that there are, for example, parts found or something like this. Then we have the direct contact to the cargo crime on the group level to help, for example, identifying the parts, proving ownership, this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, that plan didn't work, at least not completely. The problem was we needed a clear structure of reporting and responsibility, and due to the fact that logistics is always a service function to production in Volkswagen, it is historically grown, we didn't have it. We don't have the, for example, the brand logistics boss reporting to the group logistics boss. It's not like this. The group logistics boss is reporting to the group production boss, and the brand logistics boss is reporting to the brand production boss. So this is very indirect. And we saw that this is a problem in, for example, getting the people online, getting the discipline in. And this is why we switched the plan to work via group security. As our former CSO, this was Michael Schmidt at Tapper Berlin, explained, everyone having something to do with security in Volkswagen reports ultimately to him. And there we had the structure we needed. And so we implemented it via the security organization. And this was the core of the new network. I'll show how this works at the moment. But first, this is the old way. We had a mass of organizations, local logistics, local security, other sources, you name it, trucking companies, suppliers, police organizations, insurances, what you like. And we had the cargo crime task force. And we got something like reports, if we were lucky, We had to collect those, we have to analyze those, we have to decide where we can investigate, and we were at that time, I think, 4 people. You see already the limits. We were at our limit with the 3-digit, this is why there's 3 X's in there, with the 3-digit number of incidents per year, we were at our capacity limits. More than our capacity limits, to be honest. And so this new network, as I showed you, this consists of the local security. They are also competent to do local investigations. They are up networking with the local logistics and other sources, like, for example, transport damage claims, regress, these kind of stuff. They also prepare a regular incident report to us. We, for example, combine those reports, look for multi-site series, and decide if we go into selective investigations, for example, if it's a multi-site thing. And this organization we basically have everywhere. The new scope allows us to go to the 4-digit range where we are now. So the bright field, I think we broadened it a bit. The numbers are better we have now. We lost in some cases, if we were very lucky, we may be losing a little bit in reaction time, yes, but this is the price we have to pay if we are working with those low number of people in this big field of challenge. What were the challenges? The first thing was, Diana already showed us, it was setting up the common view. What is cargo crime? That everyone worldwide has the same definition, has the same understanding of the term. We have to put it into something like a report level. We had, and this was another thing we have to learn the hard way, we have a big variety of ways how, for example, parts are even named in our company. One says turbolader, which is German, the next says turbocharger engine, and we also have over different brands, for example, different kind of numbers and designations. So it's not always easy to spot if there's an actual series or not. And this is something we put into something like a semi-automatic translator. It's mostly managed by Diana. It's a real great thing, but it's the one which helps us to at least get a part of the picture. Then we have to talk to the local organizations that they provide these reports in time and in a defined quality. And in this case, we also learned it's also a matter of culture. If you talk to a Mexican, Chinese, Indian, or you name it guy, it's always about understanding. It's always about the cultural way of giving problem reports. So there were challenges as well, but it all comes down to set the rules, reduce the complexity, work for the quality, and respect the people, because no one is sabotaging it or is doing something wrong out of bad intent or something. It's simply a different kind of definition. I will get back to Diana, who will show us how we process an incident.
Well, thank you, Jan. Well, since the foundation of the task force, some thousands of cases were documented, some with values of millions of euros. Jan has briefly introduced you to the process already, but I'm going to give you additional information. Of course, not every case is handled the same. So, the initial step for handling an incident is identification. This starts with, for example, someone from the logistics, the carrier, the supplier, the police even, to name a few of them, to identify or recognize an interruption or a crime. Therefore, it is really important that our stakeholders are aware of the cargo crime phenomena in order to act fast and to involve the security department. Then a first initial assessment has to be done in order to determine if indeed a crime occurred during the transportation chain. because maybe it turns out it's a false report and actually the goods are not lost. And thus it is necessary, again, to have a strong partnership between logistics, security, the carrier and the supplier to understand the situation at hand. Then we have to take immediate action to reduce the risk and weaknesses of possible incidents happening in the near future or to detect them promptly. This includes, for example, to block the driver from entering our plants, to block the license plate or even the carrier, weight checking, and so on. Of course, for further investigation purposes, a detailed documentation of the incident at the time of identifying it is an incident happened and afterwards is essential. This includes GPS data, pictures of the state of the vehicle and of the containers. Depending on the damage sum and the relevancy of the incident has to be reported to us either via an ad hoc report or via the monthly overview of incident, which is the monthly report we receive from the entities to the group. Of course, cases are not solved in a day. They can take few weeks, even few months. Thus, a full investigation into the incident and also an analysis to detect a possible series is necessary. This involves, again, the exchange of all relevant stakeholders to gather all the information together to establish this case. In some cases, the definition of further measures to mitigate weaknesses and risk are absolutely reasonable within the scope of what is possible, because we all know security is costly while logistics is optimizing their cost at best. In many cases, we file a criminal complaint after gathering all the relevant information. We even make a recourse, and sometimes we seize our goods. But unfortunately, sometimes an investigation also leaves us empty-handed. What I haven't mentioned, in principle, is that the local security and brand security, they must independently initiate and continue investigation into cases. If they need our help with the investigation, we as group will support them. In case it's a group relevant case or particular serious cases of damage or serious of theft, we as a group will handle the case. So on group, we maintain a group-wide database with all the incidents we receive from our entities and our own investigation. This helps us to keep a current overview of the cargo crime situation. Even in 2021, over 180 parts were stolen from the group in over 650 transactions, with a total value of approximately 25 million euros. The largest individual case has a value of approximately 12 million euros. This number, however, only reflects the broad field of criminality within the Volkswagen Group. There is also a significant number that is not shown in our statistics because the reporting network is still in the ramp-up phase, and also some cargo cases are not associated to cargo crime at all. And now I would like to hand over to Jan, who will give you an awesome case in an investigation we had.
Yeah, the case I'll show is also a continuation of something which already started during the Warsaw period, but we put it there in a more or less specialized view, yet now we put it into the broader picture to just show that we not only have our own criminals, which are especially specialized in attacking us, but also the, I'll call it ping pong game, when we do something and they do something again. And it is a case of injector units. In case they are not known, they look like this. And those injector units are mostly, or half of them more or less, are transported from eastern Romania to Salzgitter, for example. It's one of the biggest relations there. And in fact, the injector unit cases, they were something like the starting point of directed cargo crime measures in Volkswagen, more or less. Before the 2015 phase, before we even were a project team, we already had from Salzgitter then the reports that they had problems with thefts, first of all boxes. We then implemented good entry controls on a little bit better level, putting this in case with the supplier, putting something in case with the plant security, and also with the logistics service provider there. And yeah, the theft of 4 boxes stopped. Unfortunately, they started to steal from the boxes, which is comparatively easy because those boxes are multi-use. They have a pallet, they have some special, we call it KLTs, small carrier units, and it has a lid. And yes, basically you can open the lid, take some out, put the lid back again, maybe put some bendings again on it if you're good, or maybe taking the lowest layer, second lowest layer, and leaving the upper one as it is to, for example, let it look like a production error or something like this. This was the case 2016. We then implemented the weighing of the goods, which unfortunately led to receiving sandbags. Those were more or less like 50 grams per whole packaging unit from the original weight of the parts, which is an outstanding job, I have to admit it. A real professional thing there. Okay, we reacted by the implementation of a video surveilled direct trucking, which led to, this was interesting, when the video truck first arrived at the supplier, they stopped the loading operation, put everything back, let the driver wait for an hour, and then loaded, I believe, something else, which is a different, which leaves a certain impression. Let's say it like this. It's a certain impression about supplier involvement. But afterwards, it was quiet again. Then in 2019, during the summer break, they sabotaged the transport, the regular one, and basically there were something like 3 tires at this transport. All of these tires less than 3 months old and all blew up. Don't know if there was foreplay involved or not, but interesting. They also knew that if there's an accident with a parts truck, that the quality department will block the parts until they are proven to be okay. Which led to an expedite we need to run. I have to thank the De Kaiser guys. They mostly summarized in their presentation very, very good what happened here. We had a nice case of identity theft against the expedite shipper, and they were able to get away with two small trucks worth of the parts again. We afterwards refined the checks and procedures, and so far it's quiet. But we don't really know if it's because they still have stock levels, because they are still thinking what to do next, or maybe even getting to another automotive brand. We are not sure. It's a reaction game. You see also that at the left-hand side, we had series over longer periods where they took a given percentage or something like this, because they, for example, attacked every 5th or 6th load with some parts. And on the right-hand side, you more have the coups, higher risk, higher reward, but it's always in one time. It's always a one-shot game. They only can use the send back game or the sabotage thing once, because they used some weaknesses in our processes, and we had to readjust. Second fact to these identity theft, again, speculation of supplier participation or not, insider knowledge or not. When we analyzed the case, we had something like a reaction time to put it into motion, like trucks with false identities, like stealing the job from the expedite shipper and everything. They had to set up this in around 6 hours. If there were an insider involved, they had like 30 hours time. I leave the conclusion to you. I mean, I can't prove anything, but it has also a certain kind of foul smell. What we do with Tapa, I mean, they were so kind to invite us again. So it's not only the general policies. I mean, everyone is, for example, talking about the driver situation, the parking lot situation. But we're also working on the more direct level together. We had these incidents reports. Okay, we file them anonymously, like Thorsten said yesterday. But we also collaborate in the TSR team. And we also scan everything Tapa provides us for information, especially new modi operandi and relevant trends, to keep into the picture. Okay, now I'll get back to Diana, and she will show us the future challenges.
Well, I hope we have still time. 2 minutes? Okay, we only have 1 minute left, so I mean, it's our last slide. So what is going on currently and in the future for us? Well, of course, very important for us is to further develop our measures and strategies to mitigate the cargo crime risk, which is important for us because we have to fight this risk in a group. And another point is that we only see the tip of the iceberg for the criminality. Like I said, we don't. There are still probably hidden thefts we don't see, and also the growing growth of other modus operandi, like crime as a service. We know criminals, they evolve really fast. They are creative. They find new technologies, new acts of criminal activities. And furthermore, digitalization is also playing a huge part. Our reporting process needs to be more efficient and leaner. And then we have our group strategy with New Auto. This means we have to adapt to it to float with the current. For example, e-mobility is the future for us. And this also means that specific car parts are also on the focus for the criminal attacks. And lastly, the impact on a cargo price situation due to the importance of sustainable and intermodal transport chain. So with that, we thank you for your attention, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the conference. We are happy to network with you later on. And now I open the stage for questions.
Diana and Jan, thank you both very much. We are nearly out of time, but and I know everyone will be keen to stick to schedule so we get out on lunch on time. But maybe we've got time for one quick question from the floor, if anybody would like to ask one. Yes. Yes. Good. If you just, do you want to take one of these microphones? Oh no, there's one behind you. There you go, Jan.
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot for this really impressive presentation.
Can you just introduce yourself, Jan Philip?
Oh, yes, sorry. Jan Philip Beers, so you see my name there as well. And especially thanks for sharing these impressive cargo numbers. I think they are really huge, so it really is a very severe problem that you're working on. I was just wondering, parking. So do you also have the numbers in how far theft on parking areas is an issue?
In fact, the most of the things we suspect to be happening are maybe related to parking areas, but a lot of the times we suspect in insider collaboration in these kind of things, which leaves it more or less as a moot point to see if it's done in parking or not. It's done on the transport, somewhere on the transport track, and it's a difficult thing. We don't have these general criminality much, like for example the curtain slashers or something like this. This we don't see so much. We have more or less the problem that we are dealing with specialized guys who are very aware of where the cargo is running, and they are also operating on a, let's say, specialized level. And the guys who are then really stealing the goods, they are the most, let's say, worthless elements of the whole chain. We have the distribution behind them, we have some kind of management behind them, we have these, I say, criminal companies who are also, for example, managing their stock levels. We see even this kind of thing, and this is a challenge we have it. Secure parking helps us in some high criminal areas, in both ways, like avoiding high-risk spots or in going to dedicated parking lots. We have something like this in force, for example, in Romania.
Diana, maybe just very quickly, I can ask you one last question, and I think if anyone else has any further questions, they can probably catch you during lunch. In a sentence or two, how are you working with partners to mitigate weaknesses or suppress incidents?
Yeah, that's a good question, because currently we have a case of a series of theft, and we then have to work together with our supplier and also the carrier to define measures to combat the situation. So, I mean, for the supplier and the carrier as well, it's important to fix this problem. Otherwise, their reputation is also online, and the relationship will be jeopardized. Nevertheless, in that case, the supplier, they had additional securing of the boxes and an additional seal, and also weighted the boxes before transporting it to the carrier side and then to our vehicle plants. And all the involved partners, so the carrier, also knew what the measure is, so that they know when they get the boxes, they have to check for those things, as well as our plants. They also know, okay, when the package arrives, I have to check this.
Thank you both. We've reached the end of our time, but thank you both, Diana and Jan, for sharing with us. Thank you both very much. Thank you.